Welcome back to another daily walk. Today I want to talk a little bit about evangelism and different evangelism styles. So I was out of this conference and all outdoors, that's why I'm kind of like red all over the place. I feel like a lobster or something, I don't know. But anyway, I was out of this conference and really good conference, and there were a couple other believers that were there. It's not a conference for Christians, but I was overheard some conversations where, one of the gentlemen particularly was talking to some of the people that I had already met and talked to a little bit, and he just moves the conversation really quick onto Jesus. And in that case, it caused a little bit of hostility among a couple of people. And that's perfectly fine, because we are told by the scriptures that preaching the gospel is offensive. So that's actually great, and that gentleman was doing exactly the command of God, utilizing evangelism in that means, in that way. But I got to thinking about it, am I not doing enough? Because I had already talked to this person he's already talking to, and it's like, and I haven't gone out there and preached the solid gospel, as one might say. But I got to think, and the fact of the matter is different people have different styles for evangelism. And so if you see somebody that can really just move that conversation really quick into Jesus, and you're like, I don't know if I can do that, don't feel bad about yourself. Your task is to do what God has created you best to do. And the reason I say this isn't because I'm making excuses. It's that some of us are built differently. Some of us are built like, Ray Comfort, that walks up the street and random people be like, hey, where would you go if you died? Not everybody does that. Some people have different gifts. In particular, my gift is more in discipleship than it is in evangelism. Now, in all instances, all believers need to do all different things in different ways. But when it comes down to it, I'm not the guy who's going to walk up to a random stranger and start talking about Jesus. I make a lot more closer communications, closer friends. I will get to know people. Over the course of getting to know people, they learn really quick that I do YouTube, I do writing, I do a lot of things. And at some point in time in the conversation, what do you write? And I write about Christian things and then talk about the various ways. And that really is how I preach the gospel. It's a lot more, it's a lot different than it is the approach of a person who just goes into somebody and says, hey, let's go ahead and talk, answer the deep questions of the faith. And the reality is, it doesn't matter which one of those approaches you take. You see, God is going to save everybody that God intends to save. God cannot save, or I can't say cannot, but God will not save a person that is not written in his Lamb's Book of Life from the beginning of time. And the reason it's important to say that is, some people might pressure you that every conversation has to immediately steer towards Jesus, and if you're not doing that, you could risk somebody going to hell. Well, the reality is, different people respond to the gospel in different ways. Different people preach the gospel in different ways. Different people do evangelism in different ways, and we ought not be concerned about making sure we're doing evangelism the way everybody does evangelism. In my case, I'm a discipler. I write a lot of knowledge, and just today we got to talking to somebody, and I was doing a van tour of the van here, and in the back of my van I have a box of books, which are all the different books that I've written. And she's like, oh, I'm curious about which books you write. So I showed her, and I showed her the whole spectrum. I got some science fiction over here. I do Christian stuff. I explain each of the Christian books. And she takes a picture of the one because she really wants to get it. And she doesn't have money on her to buy the book. I offer to give it to her for free, which is cool. I'd gladly do that. But she's like, no, I insist on buying it. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to buy it online. Cool. That's awesome. Well, guess what that is called? That is called evangelism. Because I have illustrated to somebody that Jesus is important to me. I've written books about it. Over this time, over the last 10 days, we've been working together on a team. We have come to know a deep respect. It's not just, oh, this is just a random person that came up to talk about Jesus. There's this deep respect that we respect each other's skills and abilities on the team. We're both working on a team. I'm not just an attendee out here. I'm actually actually running, helping run some of the behind the scenes things. And we're on this setup and takedown and problem solving team. And we have great respect for each other. And now she knows I'm a believer, knows where she can get a book. Guess what's in every one of my books? The gospel of Jesus Christ. And that is in and of itself evangelism. Now, I'm not saying my approach is right and the other guy's approach is wrong. I'm not saying his approach is right and my approach is wrong. Every one of us needs to serve Christ with the gifts we have been given. So don't let somebody pressure you into thinking evangelism means you have to stand on the street corner and hand out flyers and invite everybody to church and ask everybody where they're going to go if they die today. There's a place for that, but if that's not your temperament, that's not the evangelism for you. You should find the way that would work, that would honor Christ in such a way that over this time I've gotten to know a dozen people that all are now seeing me as a really good worker. And guess what? Over the course of knowing and having an interest in who I am as a person, they are all going to see the gospel in my life and hear the gospel through the books and through explaining some of the things that I do. And that's really the approach I wanted to leave you with today. Shorter daily walk today, which is great because we are still in the middle of the conference and I am exhausted. So I'll leave this one here. Thanks for watching. Have a look at the books. You can have a look at the books at the website, ourwalkinginchrist.com. Look for the books tab, or you can just look up the books with my name anywhere where books are sold online. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy your daily walk in our Lord.